Am I ready? My name is Pakesta Washington, also known as PJ, but my husband really prefers Pakesta, so we're going to keep Pakesta. And the way you remember it is a package at Easter is Pakesta. So if you see this and it's spelled Pakesta, just know, no, I'm not associated with Pakistan, and you will have to send me an apology email.
If you're a listener of this show, you know I don't normally have an intro. I like to get right into the conversation for you. But after speaking with Pakesta Washington, my guest in today's episode, she realized she left out some important information, and I wanted to go ahead and throw it in at the top of the show here. So before you get into the episode, you should understand that a lot of this one is actually about mental health. We talk a lot about bipolar disorder, which is something that Pakesta has unfortunately had to suffer through her whole life, and she provides a ton of support for people who might be suffering in silence. This includes not just bipolar disorder, but if you are in a nursing program or you know someone who is and they're having some issues, please reach out to Pakesta. She is someone who is very helpful in these areas. So I just wanted to drop in at the open of the episode here Pakesta's proper contact information. So if you would like to reach Pakesta by email, you can reach her at bipolarmenurseP@gmail.com. That's bipolarmenurSep @gmail.com. You can find her on LinkedIn at Pakesta Washington. That's Pakesta Washington. And she's the one. She'll come up with a couple different ones. So make sure you select Pakesta Washington, MSN EDRN, CEO and professional nurse educator at Washington Elite Nursing Consultants. So make sure you select that one if you'd like to reach out to Pakesta on LinkedIn. You can also find her on Facebook, Pakesta Washington, and she is in Knoxville, Tennessee. On to the episode. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so you said it's pronounced Pakesta.
Pakesta.
Right? I know.
A package at Easter. Jeff.
Just wanted to, no, it's Hef, actually. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so I'll admit, when I saw your name, I was like, Pakesta. And as I told you, I looked you up instantly. And the first thing that Google did was said, did you mean Pakistan, Washington? And I'm like, I did not. And I had to click the little show the correct results thing. And then all of a sudden you came up everywhere. You're all over the internet. But yeah, I was very annoyed with Google. I'm like, don't change. That's a name.
Thank you.
What are you doing?
Thank you. I know. It just and I tell people, I was like, all right, when you email me, this is what's gonna happen. Just it's okay.
Yep, that's right. So let me ask you on first try, because I've always been someone who has really prided myself in being able to say people's names correctly. French people, Russian people are like, oh man, that's so good. You got it on the first try. I'm going to guess most people don't get your name on the first try.
No, they don't. And when they do, I just let them know, oh my gosh, you got it. And they're so happy. But I do have people that'll come out and they'll wait. And I'll say Pakesta. And they're like, yes.
I'm like picturing the doctor's office, right? And like you're sitting in the waiting room and they're like, and then you're like, Pakesta. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Come on back.
That's exactly how that goes. So I am used to it. Again, not a part of Pakistan. Pakesta at Easter. That's Pakesta.
The package at Easter. I like
package
that.
At Easter. Yes,
that's the way to remember it. Very cool. So let's also just say PJ or Miss Washington as well.
That's fine. I'm Professor Washington, but I'll take Mrs. Washington because I like being Mrs. Washington better than Professor Washington.
There you go. That's I like that. So you're basically saying you identify more with your home life than you do with your profession. Is that kind of what you're saying there? Because I love that.
I guess I am. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. I always love that because, like, when people meet me or, when I meet other people, the question's always like, oh, what do you do for a living? And it's like, for me, I would rather you ask me, like, what's your family life like? What do you do for hobbies? Like, for me, that's who I am, not what I do every day. And I know and I'm not trying to diminish what you do every day. It's very important stuff, and I want to talk to you about it. But at the same time, for me, it's like you want to get to know me. My 9 to 5 is not what defines me.
There we go. What
There
do
we
you
go.
do?
Well, I podcast. I make no money. Um, well, in my professional life, I am a writer and a content strategist, so I do a lot of work with marketing departments and different type of IT professionals, things like that. That's where a lot of my work is. So, yeah, you're
IT.
not your not your favorites, huh?
IT.
Yeah, not for you, but what you do, again, we mentioned you're a registered nurse, which is awesome. And you have done a ton of work with med school kids, helping them get through the nursing programs.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about what you do in your professional life.
Well, in my professional life, I'll just kind of give you a rundown. Initially, I was a bedside nurse from 2000, well, 2010 to 2018. I went back and got my master's in nursing education, and I've started teaching at a local community college, and it was such a great experience. It really was. We'd have these freshman students coming in, and they're just shaking in their shoes, and I'd be all dressed up in my white, and I'd be like, "Everybody, wash their hands." And so I have everybody really being tense the first day, and then at the end of class, we break out and we do the Cupid shuffle. So
Nice.
I so enjoyed teaching freshman students. I did. There's a lot that need help, which is what compelled me to step out of the academia life for far as the institution goes, and to start my own business, tutoring nursing students. So that's one of the things that I do. I am also in the process of writing a book, and
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because literally, like, my last 5 guests have said that, and I always say the same thing, and I know my listeners are getting tired of hearing this. I am also in the middle of writing a book, and it's just, man, it is a daunting task, is it not?
It's crazy because mine is called the Diary of a Bipolar Woman. So it's a bunch of journals constructed and pulled together over the span of 10 years,
Wow.
and different dates and things of that nature. So I'm trying to figure out, do I want it to go date by date, or do I just want to put it in there because I'm bipolar? Sometimes I want to do this, I don't want to do that. So I don't want it to be like a regular book. You know,
Yeah,
one day
I
is
like that.
October 20th, and before, behind it is, 2010. So I don't think I want the dates to be, I just want them to be random. So
Yeah, I think
work.
that's a good way to go. It's kind of I'm sure your stream of consciousness is kinda like that, right? Where it's just kinda like you have one crazy thought than a normal thought, right? And
That is
crazy in
true.
air quotes, of course. But
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that's kind of what I think. I think that's a really good idea. So you also, so again, we mentioned you're writing a book. You mentioned your bipolar disorder. You've done a lot of work in again with working with different students in the nursing field, but so basically, a lot of what you've done too is being a professor and doing all the work that you've done. You advocate a lot for bipolar disorder. Let me ask you about that particularly. When did you find out you were bipolar, and did you kind of know in your family, maybe know before you were diagnosed?
So I didn't know. I found out in 2010 that I was bipolar. It was my last semester of nursing school, And I would just, for some reason, I would just have this terrible rage. And I just didn't know why. I had a lot of the other symptoms, like, not sleeping is hard for me. I have to have medicine to sleep. There were things going on that I could put together once I got the diagnosis. And then it made me think about my family. And I said, that's what's wrong with all of them, except for 2. My grandmother had 6 kids. There was only 2 that was not bipolar, and my mom was one of them. But when I found out, it was it was weird. I went in the office and he said, "Well, what's going on?" Now, he had tried to get me to see a psychiatrist for a couple of visits before this one, and I'd say, "No, I don't need a psychiatrist. You go see one. I don't have to see one. I'm fine." The typical African American response in our culture, it's you're fine. You'll be good. You don't need the medicine. So I was like that. And this particular time I said, I feel like I want to rip somebody's head off. And I'm like, and then sometime I can't get out of the bed. And then sometime I don't need sleep. I can go 4 or 5 days without sleep. And he said, okay, I'm going to give you a prescription. If you promise me you're going to go see a psychiatrist. And I was feeling so bad. I took the prescription and it started to work about 6 weeks later. I felt fantastic, and I talk about this in the intro to my book, and it's really funny. I'll have to read it to you at some point, just the preface. Um, but I felt good after 6 weeks. I was focused, gaze straight ahead, working, doing the kids, going to school. I was just doing it. And then I looked down at the scale 2 months later and it read 30 pounds higher. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And so I said, wait a minute. I went back to the doctor and I was like, I can't take this. And so I had to get off of it and try something else. That's something that's hard for bipolar people to do, is to find a regimen. And I don't know if I'm going too far, if I'm answering your
No,
questions, because
please keep going.
I'm like, the alphabet queen. I have BP, OC, PC, anxiety, ADHD. I have it all. So I'm the alphabet queen. So if
I'm
I go
with you.
off on a tangent,
Oh, please keep going.
you just bring me back. So one of the things people don't know is there's a there's about every 1 in 4 person has bipolar disorder. And
Hmm.
that's pretty high, which people don't think it is because 4 just sounds like a low number. If you look it up, I think it's only like 8% of the population, but it's definitely more than that because it's such a taboo. No one wants to say that word. They'll say, oh, so and so is depressed. That's why he killed himself. Or so and so couldn't sleep. Or um, there's just so many symptoms that you have. People don't like to talk about it. People are generally scared of people like myself.
Mhm.
And I'll get into that, but I started taking this medicine and I saw a complete change in myself, but I had to get through the side effects. Okay. There was one medication I take and I still do take it. I got off of it, but I realized I needed it. So I got back on it. And it doesn't bother my weight. However, it causes symptoms that are that mimic brain damage. So before I got used to it, I had to sleep with a washcloth in my mouth so that my teeth won't chew off my tongue. So had to do that because what it did was it causes you to posture. So everything tightens up, which is why I started taking it at night. But
Mm.
for many nights, I just had to take deep breaths and try and relax myself. And whatever it is you're trying to relax, it'll draw back up. So you really have to get a grip on the medicine. I it's it's something to go through. 75% of the people who have been ordered to take prescription medication for bipolar disorder, 75% of them don't won't take it. And that's one of the reasons why. They don't like the way it makes them feel. So I take that medication, and if I don't take a muscle relaxer at night, I have a cocktail, but it keeps me going. If I don't take a muscle relaxer at night, when I wake up, the result of the same medicine, I look like I had a stroke. My
Ooh.
lips literally twist like yours, and no matter how bad you try to straighten it, it'll still curve back up. So, I have to take a muscle relaxer at night and one in the morning, and I function. I mean, muscle relaxers knock people out cold.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it's my way of life, and it's one of the medications, one of the several medications that I take just for the side effect of the Latuda. Another thing about it is the cost. 30 pills, this is 10 years ago, 30 pills was $5,000.
Oh,
And before Walgreens would dispense it, and I'm not trying to blow up drugstores, they have nothing to do with it. It's the
right.
insurance companies.
Oh, it is.
Before they would order it, they'd call me and say, "Where's your 200 do you have your $250 copay before we order this medication?" Now, fast forward 12 years, 13 years later, now 90 pills is $4,995. 30 pills is $1,500.
Good God.
No, but that's not the kicker. Listen to this. So I see all these commercials for bipolar, new bipolar medicine. They'll show the commercial with the woman buying everything. Totally true. Spending money makes us high. And that is one of the side effects. Everybody thinks, yeah, it's not. Yes, it is. Look it up. It's classic sign. So I see all these drugs on TV. Call your doctor or ask your doctor to write your prescription and to ask him to tell you how to get a zero copay. Or they say, call us and see how we can get you a $15 or zero copay. So I thought, man, knowing the cost of these drugs, I called and I said, yes, I've been to my doctor's office. He gave me a prescription for, we'll say, red Kool-Aid and told me to call and see if I can get the $0 copay. And she said to me, "Well, what kind of insurance do you have?" I said, "I have TRICARE, and I'm going to tell you why I picked TRICARE in a minute." She said, "No, you're not eligible for it." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" "You can't have any government insurance. You can't have Medicare, Medicaid, or TRICARE." I said, "Well, can I buy it cash?" "No, it's not offered to cash people either.
Oh, my
You have to
word.
have commercial insurance through your job." Guess what? Guess what we give our veterans? Guess what
Oh,
their medical TRICARE. I wrote a letter to Elizabeth Warren. So if this is going to go on something, make sure she sees it. I don't know if
oh,
she got my email.
I'll send it
Yeah,
to her.
yeah. Can you believe this? Our veterans can't get their psych medicine because these commercials, these drug companies, they only want to deal with commercial because they get their money back, and that's
That's
terrible. That's
awful.
awful. It's
Awful.
awful. Yeah,
I can't even the veterans I know who have mental issues, and to think that they can't even get certain medicine because of that is just
yeah.
disgusting.
I know. I know she blasted. So yeah, Elizabeth, email. I sent you an email 2 weeks ago.
We expect a response.
Yes, I know you're busy. I know you're busy, but
Yeah.
that's important. So yeah, that's something. So aside from the side effects, man, if I don't take my medicine, it's just not good.
Yeah,
And
no, I hear you. Well, and I'm sitting here thinking about again. I have bipolar people in my life. A very close family member of mine has it, and um, it's like it's funny. Some of the things that you've said already has already made me be like, oh, I'm hearing it come out of her mouth right now. Like the oh, I don't like the way it makes me feel. and it's like, well, you still need to take your medicine. But yeah, the cost barrier of it is insane because like you said, if you're bipolar and let's say you're unemployed, how can you still get your medicine if they won't even let cash customers come and get it sometimes? I mean, that's absolutely insane.
You say that, and my son's friend had a mother who was bipolar, and she lost her job, lost her insurance, and committed suicide because she couldn't get her medicine. The feelings of despair that you go down in the depressive part are so dark and just so it's just deep. And
Mhm.
if you don't have your medicine, we have a very high percentage of suicide. The suicide rate among bipolar people is very high, which, say you go to an insurance company and you want to get some life insurance. The minute you say that, the answer is no. The minute you put your meds down on a page and you see Lamictal and, Latuda and, wait, she's got mood disorder and psychotropic drugs, what? Something is not no, because our suicide rate is so high. And, been there, never, have I really tried, like, my mom, she was bipolar, and, I used to have to deal with her trying to commit suicide, a lot of times. I remember being at the age 3, and she was passed out on the bed, and, I called 911, and so my little rescue was successful because she lived. But from that point
Wow.
on, I wanted to be a nurse because I always want to know how to help mommy. She just had
Wow.
such she'd call me in from playing with my friends, and then she would just start to try and slit her wrists.
Oh.
She was not she didn't take it seriously. She didn't think that something was wrong with her. And again,
Was she ever diagnosed?
I think she was because at one point when I was in high school, they had prescribed her Prozac, and
Mm.
I was young, but I was old enough to say, "Hey, that's for crazy people." And I knew how she act, so I was like, "Well, she needs that." But she slept and slept and slept, and she stopped taking it. And we never talked about it, but when I figured out that I was and I saw the things that she did, I said, "Oh, yeah, she was
Mhm.
definitely in denial." But when you have 4 other brothers and sisters who act the same way, you think it's normal, right? Because I thought all families fight like mine. No, this is like FF not yeah, that, you know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
uh, it's a it can be a scary thing, the medicine, it really can. So, now you know what they feel, you know?
Mhm.
She doesn't like the way it makes her feel. There's other things. I mean, if you are taking it and you feel good like I did and most people, "Oh, I don't need this anymore."
Yep.
"I feel great. I don't need it. I'm good," until 6 weeks later. And then you're just so down, so far down, and you do things when you're manic or hypomanic,
Mhm.
and you might say things to hurt someone else, but it doesn't matter when you're in that stage. You don't recognize your behavior, of what you're doing, how you're being, how one minute you were crying, the next minute you were angry, the next minute you were laughing. Um, that all that happens, and our brain our brain scan is different than yours would be. I
Mhm.
mean, like, we are, like, overstimulated, lit up in red, and, it's tough. It's tough. It really is. Definitely for a family member, like, my husband is amazing because he knows exactly what's going on, when it's getting ready to happen, "Go lay down," you know? I've had probably about over the last 2 years, I've had, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 nervous breakdowns. There is no cure for bipolar disorder. The medication just helps you deal with it better.
Yeah.
And so if you can imagine that there's no cure and you're not taking the medication, that just puts you at risk for, potential suicide. And again, I've never been so, oh, I'm going to do this, or, take a bunch of pills. I've never done that, but I do what they call, I have passive suicide. And I had never heard of it, but my doctor said, you have passive suicide. And I said, what is that? She says, um, because there's things that I do, I have things written out. I have things that are very particular if something were to happen to me, what I want to wear, the white dress that I want to be with is hanging on the wall. There's days and she's like, why don't we just put that in the closet? And
Mm,
I'll say, no, because at the end of the day, I turn my chair around and I say, I didn't have to wear that dress today.
mm,
That keeps me going.
interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
when I look at it, I just get, I didn't have to wear that dress today. Will I have to wear it eventually when it's time? But there's times I don't care if I'm here tomorrow. And my life is perfect. Perfect. I mean, perfect.
Yeah.
So
And oh,
when you
sorry.
feel
I was
that
just
way,
gonna add that with my family member, I again relate so much. Like she'll. I'm sure it's the same with you. Your family members, when she decides to stop taking her medicine, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm. We ask her, "Are you feeling okay?" Yeah, I'm feeling great, and it's like something's off, and then we start noticing, maybe it's substance abuse or something is off and different, and it keeps getting worse, and we're like, okay, that means that she's not on her medicine and we need to talk to her and have that conversation. And so, I'm sure for you that you have your telltale signs of, uh-oh, there's something that's not right with her and we might need to have that conversation with her.
yeah, yeah, and I even made like a Washington. It's called the Washington Wellness Bipolar Awareness Model. I just made it up, but I'm gonna tell you what it is. I just made it
Okay.
up about a week or two ago, but
Oh,
I've
wow.
just pulled my paper out again. It's very important. So ask how they're doing. What can we do to help? Ask what can we do to help? Ask about safety. Are you thinking of harming yourself? Rest. Are you getting enough rest? Because that is a classic sign. We will not sleep. E, empathy. Have empathy. N, necessary care. So, do they have access to a psychiatrist, therapist, medication? Okay. E, encouragement. Encourage journaling, running, walking, healthy lifestyle. Encourage that. S, self love. And let them know that they can still be a good person despite this terrible disease. And then the last one, support, support, and support. Not just support, support. Look it up, learn about it, read about it.
Yep.
That
That's
to me is
that
awareness.
that's something I always say is very important with anything is research. And, there's so many times when I'm dealing with a family member that maybe it's an alcohol issue or maybe it's a drug issue or even a friend and they're going through something. Not just well, I'm going to be a friend and be there, which hey, that's great too. But you need to understand that there are certain ways to approach different situations. And so it's important that you are well researched in what you're going to do to help that family member.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Man, so when are we going to see this Washington model? Is this going to be is this the debut of it here on this show?
This is the second time I've said it, but listen, I still got to read it. I haven't been practicing, but I'm gonna put it in the bathroom because that's where I learn a lot.
Me
You might
too.
you might as well hang it up on the wall. You in there anyway.
That's right.
But this hasn't made it to the wall, but it needs to. Yes, I did. I sat here a couple weeks ago and I said, you know what? I'm good at mnemonics. And I said, ah, that's awareness. I had someone ask me, about awareness. And I said, awareness to me is being aware of how you feel. Don't ignore it.
Yep.
You're tired, you're tired. Go lay down. If you know you need to eat, eat, because that's another thing. We do. We tend to do go a
Yep.
couple days without eating and out sleeping and happy. If we're too happy, it's a problem. They call it euphoric.
Mm.
And if you're not and you're down, you're depressed. So it's
Yep.
all about balance. And for me, that medication helps balance me. Therapy, I have my mental nurse practitioner that does my meds. She tells me, call me if something is off. And so she's there for my medication support. And then my psychiatrist, she's there for our talks and stuff. And she's really good. I've been with her for about 14 years. And all of her hair is gray. And she's only working 3 times a week. And I'm just like, you better not retire or die on me because I need you. you
You're not
know,
going anywhere.
Listen, that's another problem for bipolar people. Once you find you a therapist, two things is going to happen. One or two. You're going to like them and things are going to go well. Then they might retire. Or you didn't like them. Y'all didn't jive. You didn't feel right. They didn't ask you the right questions. You felt like they judged you and you don't go back. So these are all things that I hear from different people. Um, because I'm so open with being bipolar. I do it, I won't say I do it for fun, but I do it to see the response of people when I say it. And I've gotten several different responses. And the funniest one is I was working in a hospital at night and this charge nurse, he was very young. They put anybody in charge now. He's charge nurse and his light kept going off. I said, "What's wrong with your woman? What's going on?" "I don't know. She's bipolar. She wants some pain medicine." Well, I looked at him and I said, "I'm bipolar and I don't like pain medicine." Well, he took a step back and said, "Uh-uh." I said, "Uh-huh." People don't know. They never know who's what.
Right.
They never know. Another conversation I had with a coworker when I worked at the college, she said, "Are you gonna take the full-time position here?" And I said, no. I said, "My bipolar won't let me because there's
Yeah.
things we just can't take." And yeah, the pressure. So about an hour or so later, she texted me or she called me and said, "Pakista, I have some problems too that, you were so open about your bipolar disorder. Can we talk sometimes?" And we started going to lunch once every other week. And that's what we would talk about because she had the exact same feelings. She didn't want to change her meds. And I'm like, if you're feeling this way, then you'll have to change them. And that's hard because even if I'm feeling bad or my husband says, "Are you okay?" If he asks me 2 or 3 times in a row, obviously I'm not okay.
Mm.
And there's times I don't wanna call my nurse practitioner to change my meds because I have one that doesn't allow me to, gain weight. Most of us get diabetes from the weight gain that the drug causes.
Mm.
There's all sorts of things that go with this disorder. It really
Yeah.
is. Along with the stigma, which, you know, sometimes we could be a little crazy. I understand the fear because no, my family members are, and I understand the fear.
Yeah.
But the awareness model is to help you approach them, not come here, we're going to throw you in some handcuffs and smash your leg and your face on the floor. We're not doing that. We're
Yeah.
asking. This is training that police officers need across the world. They don't know how to deal with someone who has bipolar disorder. And I see too often that things end up going a bad way because they don't have a plan how to talk someone down, asking, "How are you doing?" Before you just go and approach. There's things that you need to do to communicate with someone who's bipolar and get past that fear, you know?
Yeah, that's all I'll say is, I know someone who's schizophrenic that had an issue, and the police were called, and he was shouting random things and kind of, running around in a circle, and he ended up getting tackled and broke his chin. And, um, that, and it turned out to be, he wasn't causing, he was just making, basically just being loud and being obnoxious. And it turned into this, escalated into this thing because the police didn't know how to handle him. So they just thought brute force. Let's just
I
throw him
mean,
on the ground and drive a knee in his back. And again, what you're saying is right, that it's like, you need the proper training, but it's also, you need to try and listen and just understand, that, hey, this is a individual who's going through an episode, and, doing brute force is not going to be the right answer. Sometimes it's just, you got to let him do his thing and try to talk him down.
yes, yes, and that's not their speed. Everything is gotta go get it, do this, do that. Simple. How are you doing? What can I do to help?
Yep.
Just those two right there. Just those two questions can talk somebody down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Instead
so
of coming in with, guns drawn or
tasers and
tasers. Yeah. I mean, that kind of thing. It's just going to it's just going to escalate the situation even higher.
you know what? A lot of it is out of fear, but they
Hmm.
won't admit that. But if, you're a person with a gun and a taser and you can't talk someone down, then it's about your fear and your impatience. You're not patient and you're scared.
Hmm.
You're scared.
Yep.
So I think
So,
this training should be to police officers around the world
yep.
to it really should.
I'm with you 100%. So I wanted to ask you, because I went ahead and did it because I thought we are having such a good discussion. I don't want to end it. So I'm like, I went ahead and did the random topic generator, and I'm loving what came up because I was like, we can work this into the conversation. The
What
random
game?
topic was turning 50. So let me ask you, in terms of just your diagnosis, and then kind of like, is there any kind of weird anxiety that hits when you're around your birthday time, or anything that kind of makes you say like, oh, this is a terrible time of year for me? Like, does anything like that fall into being bipolar?
Well, that is a good question. And I'm 52. Ugh.
Right. Not a day over 49 in my eyes.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. I will tell you it's daylight savings time and
Okay.
it's both. So the one in the fall, usually around that time, I've started around 50 or 49. I started really paying attention when I started to feel really bad and
Mm.
when they had to add another antidepressant to help balance the depression that you get or I get when the time changes. So that's a hard time for me. Like, so now when I know it's going to be, dark at 5 or I know things are shifting, I have to look at my medicine and I have to pay attention to me and my feelings. What's going on? Because it happens every year. And it's so funny. I have to take off like my doctors. I'll give you a note for whatever for the rest of the year. You've been dealing with this for 15 years and you've done great. So if there's something you don't want to do, I mean, don't do it. So I just, I just pay attention to how I feel. And even in the spring when it changes, it's not as drastic as it is in the winter, but I still feel like somebody shook me.
Yep. I
Yeah,
hear you.
but being 52 is fantastic. You know, I just recovered from 2 surgeries and
Ooh.
I'm feeling great, so
Wow. What kind of, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of surgeries did you have?
Surgery not disclosed.
and then 3 weeks later, I had to have my appendix taken out.
Ooh, that's rough.
Man,
Was it, so I got a quick appendicitis story. My sister, actually, she was suffering from, the pain that you get when you have appendicitis, and she's complaining to my mom. She's like, "Oh my God, there's something wrong with me. I don't know what's going on." And finally my mom starts taking her to the hospital, and well, it's funny 'cause she actually got pulled over. She was speeding, and she apparently, like, as my sister is sitting next to my mom yelling in pain, the cop, like, she goes to roll the window down, and the cop goes, "You going to the hospital?" She goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'll escort you." Like, he knew right away, like, nope, don't even bother these people. So luckily, that was a good situation there. So yeah, they get back and they get to the hospital. Apparently, they pull the appendix out of my sister, and while they're like getting ready to set it aside, it explodes in the doctor's hand. And it's like,
Wow.
whoa, like
Yeah,
you
man.
that was a close call.
That really
Yeah.
was. I just know something was bothering me. And I was like, something is bothering me, and it doesn't have anything to do with what just was done. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
That
they
was
took it
probably a
out.
weird how quick or how closely were the surgeries done?
3 weeks.
Oh my god.
I
Oh,
I know. I was like,
that's
what?
the worst.
So I was out for about 2 months, and I went back and I was like, all right, okay.
My goodness, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're probably thinking like like very first, you're probably like, oh, it's just pain from the surgery, but it's like, wait, why is it up here?
Yeah, because I felt it before. And I a while back I felt it before, and the doctor, I saw my actual doctor, not the nurse practitioner. He said, where does it hurt? I said, right here on the right side. He said, huh. He said, let me get an x-ray of you. And then he comes back and he takes me in the hallway and he says, do you see all this? You're full of shit. Let me give
Okay,
you a
doctor, what's wrong with
laxative.
me?
So from that point on, I married Miralax. He comes in my coffee every morning,
Oh,
and I
good
do
man.
just great. So TMI, people, but that's all right.
Hey, you
It's
know what?
it's all good.
I always say there's so many things in this world that's TMI, but I'm like, no, it's not. Like, again, we're talking about mental health a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, I was talking to a couple friends a couple years ago, and I brought up the fact that I had gone to marriage counseling. And one guy was like, oh, and he's like, you too? And I go, oh, you have? And he's like, I've been too afraid to tell anyone. And the other guy's like, I want to go to marriage counseling, but I didn't know who to talk to about it. Apparently, I can talk to you
See?
guys. And I'm
See?
like, see, if we just were more open with each other,
Um,
the
you
world would
know,
be a better place.
I'm so open with it, man. I'm just so open with it. I'm like, listen, this is what it is. This is what I have. As a fact, I do have a clothing line that I am in the process of developing. So far I have 4 pieces, and one of them, I should take it out when I do these. It says, sometimes I feel like a nut, sometimes I don't. And there's 2 peanuts that my husband drew because he's an artist. And
Nice.
I said, I need 2 peanuts, one that's mad and then one that's happy. And that's just how he has it. They're sitting on a little stool, and the happy one's got his hands up, and then the mad one's this way. So that's one of the shirts I've developed.
I wanted to ask you about anything coming up for you, like speaking engagements, anything like that. And really also if there's any way people can kind of keep in touch with, what you're doing and what you're up to.
I actually was invited to speak at a what is it? Psychiatric convention, global convention. That's in October. And then I also was invited for a national nursing, I think it's national nursing, global national nursing conference. I believe that's what it is. But those are both in October. And I just speak in groups, or I've spoken with students. The two titles are, one's a keynote on beyond bipolar, the myths. And so the second one is mental health and nursing students.
Oh,
And
cool.
so addressing that, I think, is really important. Many, I would say almost probably 99% of these colleges don't have a, mental or wellness plan for these students. I've had students in my office crying, at least, 3 or 4 a semester. And I remember one in general, she was having a total breakdown. And so, of course, I called. The school does have therapists. I will say that they have therapists.
That's good.
However, counselors, therapists, However, when I called her, she was at another location and she said, I can see her on Friday. This was a Wednesday. I said, no, she needs to be seen now. So I
Hmm.
pick up the phone, I call her doctor's office, I speak to their nurse, and I said, she's got to be seen now. And she got in there and they got her anxiety down. They've given her medicine and she's awesome. She's graduated maybe 2 years, 3 years now, but she keeps me up, updated on how she's doing and what's going on. But
It's great.
yeah, anybody that I get with, I always assess their mental health. In fact, I post a lot to the nursing students, and that was one of them. We do vital signs, right? We do blood pressure, pulse, respirations, temperature, and oxygen level. Why don't we make "How are you doing today, Mr. Smith?" Is there anything that you're worried about, or do you have any anxiety, or you having any feelings of depression? We can do that while we're getting the blood pressure cuff on.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
don't we assess the vitality of mental health? It's a vital sign. It's one you may not see, but Mr. Smith may feel better talking to you rather than the doctor.
Yeah.
Nurses, we are the world's most trusted profession. Act like it.
I agree. I'll
Like,
tell you, when my son was in the NICU, the doctor staff was not anyone we trusted. We got so much conflicting information. Bedside manner was awful. But every single nurse that we worked with when my son was in the NICU, and this was right after he was born, was the most generous, um, easy to talk to people that we have ever met. And we
yeah.
say to this day, we're like, we thank God for them, because it wasn't for them, my wife and I would have pulled our hair out. We, not to get too much into it, but with my son, he was in the NICU for about 2 weeks. He was a preemie. And
Oh,
yeah, and he was having problems breathing on his own and a bunch of stuff like that. And just all the conflicting information we got from the doctors. And there was literally one time that the nurse even came in and she's, saw that we were upset and asked, what's wrong? What happened? And we kind of told her some of the news the doctor gave us. And she literally just goes, I don't know why you listen to them. And I'm like, well, because he's the doctor. And she's like, well, no, I get that, but you need to not listen to them. Listen to the nurses. We really know what's going on.
yeah.
And from
Yeah.
that point forward, we had an excellent experience.
It was the nurses. Yeah. Most trusted profession, nurses, nurses. And
Yep.
you're going to laugh. You're going to say, what else, Pakista, are you working on? Oh my gosh. Nursing Liaisons of America. It is a wellness program for nurses in the hospital. So the idea is corporate will take a space in the hospital for the nurses, put in a gym, workout equipment, have a therapist, a massage therapist on site for, those little 15-minute massages.
Oh, yeah.
Healthy food. I challenged the facility to do something called reverse pricing, where the cost of an apple is 25 cents, but the cost of a cheeseburger is $5. So
Nice.
it's really a challenge for the whole hospital or the whole facility without them knowing, but for the nurses to do something special for them, to have an area where they can go and decompress and just relax on their 15-minute break, 30-minute break, somewhere that they can go that will
That's
benefit their
fantastic.
health,
Yeah.
so it's a 8-week perk program where a couple of other things come with it, like a nurse's night out, things of that nature. I've done that before and I really enjoyed it because again, nurses, we need it. And so, yes, I did a podcast with a CEO he was the CEO over 7 pain management facilities. And he said, I might revisit that in a few weeks. And I'm thinking, yes, because I've been working on that. Business
That's
plan is
awesome.
done. Everything's done
I
except a
love it.
website.
I love it. That's great. That's a
So,
really good thing because again, my son, he goes to occupational therapy and some of those therapists are unbelievable at what they do. And just seeing this, the what could be high stress for them. Well, okay, let's put it like this. If I was in their job, I would be stressed out all the time, and I would come home and just curl up in bed and get in a ball and just, I'm not leaving this spot for the next 5 years. But then I see what they do all day long. And then again, being in the hospital with these people, seeing the nurses, the work they put in, the hours they're putting in.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you're doing it. And you've got to be high stress. So, yes, little perks like that would be fantastic for people in that field.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm working with a mentor. She's a mentor with a SCORE, which is a business here that kind of they mentor. So
Hmm.
they're all business owners and they give back by mentoring. And I mean, she's a beast. She's like, let's get this up and running. I'm like, wait. I don't
That's
want to
great.
drop the mic, not yet.
Yeah,
I'm
not
just getting
yet.
started.
That's right. Well, Pakesta, this has been very awesome talking with you. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your experiences with bipolar disorder, as well as working with these wonderful nurses. And yeah, sky's the limit for you. So keep going, and I'm excited to read that book when it comes out. We'll have you back on when that happens.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jeff.
The Pondcast, conversations that go nowhere. Produced by Jeff Ponder. Executive produced by Jeff Ponder. Music by Loud C. Smith. Talent booking by Jeff Ponder. Engineering and mixing by Jeff Ponder. A special thanks goes out to Jazz Hands. Remember to rate and review the Pondcast, Conversations That Go Nowhere, just because you're a good person. If you're a bad person, you can get some heaven points by rating and reviewing. It's a win-win. Follow the Pondcast on all social media channels with the profile handle @PondcastConvos. Thanks for listening.